So this is the lesson 9 homework answers that you should have done already. And we're learning about circles, so you should have watched the lesson 9 video on eMath instruction where Kirk was teaching us about circles. So we're looking at question 1. Each of these is an equation of a circle and they want us to state the coordinates and the length of the radius. So the center of the circle are the numbers that are next to the x and the y. So since there are no numbers here, the center of this circle in A is 0, 0. Now this number on the right is the radius squared. So in order to find the radius, all I'm doing is taking the square root of 16, which is 4. So again, the center are the numbers next to the x and the y, but I do have to remember to change the signs. So the center is positive 8, negative 3. And again, this is the radius squared, so the square root of 100 is 10. Center here is negative 2, negative 7 because I'm changing the signs. And the radius is the square root of 49, which is 7. In D down here, my center is positive 6. There is no number here, so it's 0. So that's my center, positive 6, 0. And then the square root of 1 just stays 1, so that's my radius. E has a center of 0, 0, because there are no numbers next to the x and the y. And this is the radius squared, so my radius is 5. And F has a center at 3, 8, because I'm changing the signs. And my radius is the square root of 64, which is 8. Question 2, I already have a graph of a circle, and I have to figure out what the equation is. So if you look at this circle, I can find the center. The center is at 3, negative 2. I'm also just counting to find the radius. The radius is 5. So I immediately get rid of choice 1 and 3 because they have the wrong radius. The number on the right is the radius squared, so that has to be 25. And then remember my center was positive 3, negative 2. So the numbers that go next to the x and the y have the opposite signs of what this center actually was. So this answer is choice 2. On number 3, they want to know which point would not fall on the graph. So basically, if I plug in the first number for x and the second number for y, and it works, if I plug it in and it works, it falls on the circle. If it doesn't work, then it does not fall on the circle. So when I plug in choice 2, 8 for x and 2 for y, that equals 68, and that does not equal 100, so that point is not on the graph of that circle. 4 wants me to find the length and the diameter of the circle. So the numbers next to the x and the y are the center. This number on the right is the radius squared. So the radius is actually 6, and my diameter is twice the radius, so my diameter is 12. On the next page, question 5, they want us to use a compass. You don't actually need a compass. Circle A, I find my center of the circle is negative 4, positive 2. So graphing circles is fairly easy. All you do is go to the point negative 4, 2, which I have right here where the blue dot is, and my radius is 5. So I go 5 to the right, 5 up, 5 to the left, 5 down, and then I just connect them with a circle. If you have a compass, great. If you don't, just draw the best circle that you can draw. For circle B, my center is positive 2, negative 1, because I need the opposite signs. My radius is going to be the square root of 36, which is 6. So I go to my center, which is 2, negative 1. That's this red dot right here. My radius is 6, so I go 6 to the right, 6 up, draw a dot, 6 to the left, draw a dot, 6 down, draw a dot, and then either using a compass or just drawing the best circle that you can, I do that. I label my centers, so I should have labeled these center A and this B. They want to know how many times the circles intersect. They intersect right here and right there, so they intersect 2 times. Question 6 wants us to find the coordinates of the center of the circle. So I'm just looking at my graph. This is 0, 0 right here. So my center is 4, 3. And then I just count to find my radius. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My radius is 7. They do want me to write an equation of the circle. Remember, you have to do the opposite signs. So this will be x minus 4 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals the radius squared, and 7 squared is 49. So that's my equation right there. Now we talked about graphing lines in a previous unit. This line y equals 10 is this blue horizontal line that I've drawn right there. And they want to know how many times will that line intersect a circle. It intersects the circle at one point, at the point right here, 410. So since it intersects the circle in one point, we actually call that a tangent line. And then this is just a little review of doing some midpoint and distance down here with circles. So in question 7, I have a diameter. The endpoints of the diameter of the circle are -2, 1, and 6, 7. The first question wants us to find the midpoint, using the midpoint formula, to find the center of the circle. So if I use my midpoint formula, I add the x's, -2 plus 6, and I divide by 2. That gives me 2. And then I do the same thing for the y's. I add the y's. 1 plus 7 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. So the midpoint is actually the center of the circle. So the circle center is 2, 4. And then they want me to find the radius of the circle by using the distance formula. So I could use the distance formula with the center in either one of the endpoints. It doesn't matter which one. I decided to use this one right here. So I just use my distance formula. I subtract the x's, 6 minus 2 squared, plus, and then I subtract the y's, 7 minus 4 squared, and all of that is under the square root. So 6 minus 2 is 4, 4 squared is 16, 7 minus 4 is 3, 3 squared is 9. This is still under the square root. The square root of, this is 25, and the square root of 25 is 5, so that's my radius. Okay, and again, I will be going live, so if you have any questions on this, but take a look at what you wrote, see if there's any questions that you still don't understand.